Hello, everybody. My name is Paxton, and let's talk about this photo. This is in Santa Barbara, California. I was out with some friends. Actually, that was about a year ago. Just looked kind of interesting, so I took this picture. There's a lot I like about this. There's a lot that doesn't work. First of all, before we get started, we have to fix the parallax. We cannot have the parallax. Parallax is when the verticals are not vertical. See that? See how there's a vertical line there? If I was to accentuate that, it would look like this. We don't like that at all, and it looks like it's a little crooked too. On my iPad, I'm sure Android's got the same feature where you basically want to make the verticals vertical. The picture's a little crooked too, so I'm gonna straighten it out, make the horizontals horizontal. We don't really get started on anything until that's done. There's just no point. So I think that's pretty good. What's the story and what distracts from the story? Well, I don't have to tell you, but obviously this big red car distracts from the story because I guarantee a boring red car is not the story. The story is this architectural building, and I'm looking at this. That's the first thing I look at. That's probably what it caught my attention. It's this architectural building here. It's got all this detail, the nice arches, and it looks like it's a Starbucks coffee. Very interesting. This is the Santa Barbara Hotel, which that looks interesting too. And we have some people here, and we have this really cool looking ornamental tree, all these organic shapes and high contrast. So our eyes definitely going to go in there. And it's almost like this nature, detailed nature is playing off the building of the detail and this design and architecture of this building. So what is not the story? Well, look at all this. This doesn't add to it at all, right? These double yellow lines here. Nobody wants to see that. That's boring. I like this. It's cool against the backdrop of the building, but if the story is this centerpiece of this building, the fire escape with the windows, we have nothing here, and these windows don't buy us anything. I would get rid of it. Anything here is not the story. It just doesn't add to the story. If we left those windows in, the focus is divided between these windows and here. It's probably going to focus in the middle. And look how messy that is already with all my drawing. I mean, you could clearly, that's not right. The added benefit of cropping it right there is we get rid of most of this car because we don't need to see the car that much. I would generally disapprove of people driving red cars primarily because it ruins my photography. In this case, it actually doesn't, it's not too bad as long as we get rid of a lot of that red because this is red. This is red. And if she was wearing red, walking this way, like a red dress walking this way, that would have tied the whole thing together and it would have been perfect. That would have been marriage material right there. But she wasn't wearing red, so it was too bad. We have an interesting problem in this photo. I tell you what, it's a little quiz for you guys. If you know what the interesting problem is, put it in the comments below. And, send me your address and I will send you a certificate saying you know what the interesting problem was in this photo. See that? That's a problem. But that's not the problem. The problem is we have this really cool shape here that's interesting. And so if we get rid of this, we're getting rid of some of this. I'll talk about more of that later, but for now, let us start cropping and we can see where we get to. Because actually, it turns out good. This is a good story. Let's get rid of the bottom first of all. That's useless. On the right, we're going to get rid of just the other side of these windows. Can't do anything on top. That sky on the top is about the same size as the pavement. That actually works out pretty good. And on the left-hand side, let's see, we're going to pull it in just so we get rid of that sign, because that sign's kind of ugly, right? It kind of pulls us back into reality, which we don't like to be in. This is done. We're going to call this done, and let me talk about it a little bit more. So here's the original. You can see how we've removed all sorts of unneeded things. The pavement, the half that building, and the sign on the left. And we have a very focused picture of this ornamental architectural feature of the railings here, the ironwork, or the fire escape. And so whenever you have, like, it's interesting, whenever you have something very utilitarian like a fire escape, this the design of the architect, whoever the client was, decided to spend money on making this an architectural element with the design of the railings. And that's kind of cool. We could appreciate that somebody went for the effort to do that when they didn't have to at all, but they took the opportunity to dress it up and make it look good. And I could appreciate that. And so the play is on this tree, because here we have another very organic, curvy structure, but this is from nature. And so there's this very subtle play across the two. And it actually turned out good that we removed that sign and we removed some of that tree, because One of the things about appreciating art and photography is that there's different layers of things going on. I mean, there's a lot of information, there's a lot of stuff going on, right? There's people in the coffee shop we could look at. Although the backs are facing to us, it's not lit well, it's kind of hard to decipher. If this was in the evening, this would be great because we could see the warm glow of the soft light, of the friendship of the people conversing and hanging out. And I think we, after COVID, we all need some of that reminder of warm friendship and community. Oh, so there's different layers of appreciating things, and there's a lot of information in the photo. And one of the things is that you kind of discover, or you might look at it, you don't really know why you appreciate it or what you like about it, but as you look at it more and you observe it, there's a certain awareness that comes to you. And one of the things is, I think, this is the centerpiece, one of the things we look at, and then our eye definitely goes over here. And it's just this play against the nature versus man-made, and it's interesting, right? All these organic shapes and this very organic shape that's from nature. So it adds to the depth of this picture. I would suggest to you that if we left more of that tree in, we would have to keep that sign in there, which is kind of ugly, but it wouldn't add to this relationship. In fact, the more subtle that tree is in the background, the better, because it's something that we want the viewer to discover over time, to look at this, and they're drawn in, and they kind of make a connection between this very organic tree and the architectural details of this building. Again, so if this woman was wearing a red dress and walking this way, I mean, that's marriage material. It would have made this photo so much better. The red from here would have tied in with the red, the looks like it's painted red sidewalk, and she'd be wearing, if it was the same red hair, her black boots would have matched the black tires. It would have really tied that bottom together. If I was going to do a painting of this photo, which would be remarkable because I'm not a painter, I would get rid of this, this flag here. We have this cool sign. I would probably call it some other coffee shop, maybe Paxton's Coffee, something like that. Something like, it's got some style to it. I would have done this at dusk. This would have been like an orange sky, dusty orange sky with still a contrast there. Dusk so we could see what's inside here, the people at tables having this warm fellowship. I would have had some outside seating with restaurants with lights in the background, blurry, but just a sense of community and people enjoying themselves, which again, I think we all need after COVID. We live in a very uptight world. Anyway, I hope you like my commentary, but even more than that, I hope you like and subscribe. So with that, I will see you in the next video.